Hello guys and welcome back to a new video. If you will enjoy it, don't forget to leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments to help me boost this video. Thanks. Story 1. How not to get new clients, lose existing clients, and get 2 weeks paid time off. Some 10 years ago I was switching jobs. After over 7 years at my previous one, I decided I was done with printers and stuff and wanted something new. And I found this company that was supplying CCTV, security, and fire alarms. The company had branches in few bigger cities in my country. The pay was worse than my previous job, but I figured it's not that bad and I really wanted to switch jobs. I was contracted for 3 months of a trial period. It's common practice in my country. It's a type of short-term job employment contract. Usually 1 minus 3 months that legally has the same terms as a regular job contract, with often some limits on company benefits like private Medicare or gym pass or whatever, after which we'll decide if I'm staying or not. My boss was the regional manager, and I've had a co-worker who had been hired earlier. Our branch was open for a few months at this point. Now it's important to note that the company only dealt in B2B, no retail. We didn't even have a fiscal printer that is mandatory if you want to do retail sales. So our clients were all companies, big and small that, per company policy, specialized in electrical equipment installation. In my country, all businesses are registered in a central database, and the type of stuff done is one of the required stuff from a vast catalog of what can be done commercially. This is tied to the pricing levels. You run an electric company, you get better prices than a flour company. You get the idea. The company had a CRM, customer relationship management software, in which we were required to note every interaction with our clients. When I asked our RM about how it should be kept, a conversation followed. So I need to note only sales or some other stuff as well. RM, everything. Each call, each visit, each sale, and you need to schedule the client's next visit or call. You're to contact each of your clients at least once a week to keep up relations. And note everything in the CRM. It's connected to the phone billing so we know when you've made the calls or not. So I'm supposed to call each client at least once a week for a chat. RM, yes, and make notes in CRM. You realize calling that often will annoy most clients. RM, this is the company's policy. We want our clients to be cared about, and it's your job to do it. I think everyone knows this is not how you build a positive relations with you potential clients. We're all sick and tired of banks or phone companies calling with another great offer, but fine, it's not my place to argue with company policy. I split with my co-worker the clients we had registered, found few more potential contacts on the internet, and for the next few weeks I'd call each of my clients, first to introduce myself as their new sales guy, and asked if I can contact them once in a while to check up on things. I didn't note how often I'd check up on things. After few weekly calls, some clients stopped answering, others blocked me. I noticed I get straight to voicemail. That's pretty obvious. And some got annoyed with the pestering, and voiced that with all manner of euphemisms my fav was I kindly ask you to take up a journey to the land of anal sensations, or straight up insults about wasting their time, and if they want something from me, they'll get back to me. I obviously noted every call in the CRM as explicitly instructed, but just in case someone actually read it, I refrained from citing insults and just went with client angry about too frequent contacts. Next contact on DD, YYYY. That was always in 1 week time. All this didn't won me any favors with the client base with one exception, but it hardly made a difference because we managed to antagonize most of our current and potential clients. We obviously didn't get much sales done, so we weren't allowed to keep much wares on our local stock. This meant that if someone would actually stumble into our store, the shelves would be mostly empty to the point that putting together a small CCTV setup would be impossible, because we'd have like 1 DVR, 2 cameras of the same type, and 1 hard drive for the DVR. At that point, we'd get resuppy twice a week. So if client ordered something on Thursday, the order would arrive on next Tuesday afternoon at the earliest. This was often unacceptable, so clients would scrap the order. We did some business from time to time, but I'm pretty sure our branch was not making enough even to sustain itself, not to mention making a profit for the company. After about 7 minutes, 8 weeks, I was dialing one of my clients again to check up if he doesn't need anything. Let's call him Red. I was about to hang up with no answer when he did pick it up. Hi, this is Ed from Company X. Can I take a moment? At this point, he furiously interrupted me, yelling, Red, are you fucking serious? I nearly fell off the ladder thinking it's something important. And it's you again. Didn't I fucking told you not to bother me again? Are you fucking stupid? This rant went on for a while. Guy was really creative when it comes to various combination of insults, something that I think is impossible in English language. When he finally made a long enough pause for me to chime in, I went with my at this point usual explanation. I'm sorry you find these calls disturbing, but it's our company's policy to keep a close contact with our best clients. Red never actually bought anything. Red, I don't give a fuck about your company's policy. Get your supervisor. Yes, sir. I happily gave him my boss rank, name, and phone number. He paused for a moment, I'm guessing to note the info I've given him, and then he hung up without a word. I dutifully noted the conversation in the CRM, noting that client angry, requested contact to supervisor, complied. After about half an hour, my RN called me. RM, did you call Red today? I did, like I do on a weekly basis per instructions. RM, okay, don't call him again. I'm sure Red gave him a piece of his mind about the company policy. Next week, the one guy that didn't mind my calls strolls into the store, and from the door asks, I hear you're closing up shop. I look at my co-worker with surprised expression. She mirrors it. We asked him where he heard about it, and he answered vaguely, that's the word around town. We told him that we don't know anything about it. He ordered some basic stuff we as usual didn't have on hand, and left. When I put out the order to arrive in the next shipment, I got call from the HQ warehouse. HQ, hi, you did order X and Y. I did. Is there a problem? HQ, yeah, kinda. All your deliveries are on hold and we can't ship anything to you. I put the 2 and 2 together, thanked for the info, hung up and shared the revelation with my co-worker. She contacted the RM to ask about it, and he claimed it must be some kind of mistake and not to worry. The same week on Friday, the RM arrived at 9. We opened the store at 8 and went straight to the point. RM, here are the papers to relieve you from work as of Monday. Today we pack all of the stock and equipment. At 14 there'll be a truck to pick everything up and the store is done. Work relief is a document that basically tells you that you're still employed as per contract, keeping the pay and social security, but you don't have to actually work. And it doesn't deplete your annual batch of vacation days. We get 20 minus 26 of paid vacation per year. It's used usually when an employee needs to be terminated with notice period, but you don't want to keep him around for the remaining time. In my case, I was 2 weeks until my trial period was to end, so I got the remainder of that time off with pay, and the contract would just end. My co-worker had 2 weeks notice period per her contract. I listed the brief time spent at this company as branch closing specialist on my LinkedIn. I think it's more accurate than the technical and sales specialist I actually had on my contract. The company is still there, but scaled back on its branches. And as far as I know, they loosened up their policy a bit. I went on to switch industries, once more cable TV, but got back to CCTV and stuff for the next company where I've spent 4 years, where I had a lot of regular clients and didn't call any of them once without a specific reason. Story 2. Business class upgrade if there is room. I used to work at a regional airline. The jet we used for our flight to the big city had 6 business class seats. The business class service was really good for a 2-hour flight. It included a full bar service, a hot meal, warmed bread basket, followed by a trolley with dessert, and signature coffee. The good old days. One of our regular travelers was a local business owner who was just a slimy businessman SB. He had a reputation for making a lot of money from some pretty shady deals over the years. We would roll our eyes when we saw him coming to the check-in counter because he would always name drop and ask for special treatment. He always used the business class check-in line even though he was usually in economy. He didn't have frequent flyer status, but he was buddies with one of the airline executives, and always let us know this fact when he checked in by making sure to tell us that he was good friends with Vice President Karen. He would always ask for free upgrades, extra baggage, not charging a change fee, last-minute discounts, etc. If he didn't get what he wanted, he immediately called VP Karen, who would usually then call us and approve whatever it was he wanted. So one day SB checks in for his flight to the big city, and of course name drops and asks for a free upgrade to business class because I'm friends with VP Karen, and said it would be okay. He was traveling on a discounted ticket that was not eligible for upgrade even if he did have an upgrade coupon, which he didn't. I informed him that he was not eligible for any upgrade on this ticket, and gave him his boarding pass, and sent him on his way. Of course, he flips open his cell phone, and immediately calls VP Karen. Within 2 minutes, the phone at the check-in desk rings, and it's VP Karen authorizing me to override the policy to upgrade SB to business class with no upgrade coupon required, if there is room. The flight that day wasn't that busy, and only one person booked in business class, leaving 5 open seats. I was really irritated, but I begrudgingly put SB on the upgrade list anyways. He returned to the check-in counter and picked up his standby boarding card and gave me that smug told you so look. But then what VP Karen said clicked with me if there is room. The next passenger I checked in was a super nice lady, big smile, friendly, please, and thank you. Oh, thank you so much for checking my bags to my connecting flight. That's so nice of you. I was taking my time, and we were chatting a bit since it wasn't that busy. She was a teacher going on a trip to see her family, and it was her first visit with them in over a year, and was going to meet her new little nephew for the first time. She was overjoyed just to have the time off to travel. I typed in a few things into the computer to make it look like I was checking something about her connecting flights, and then said, "Oh, you have been selected today to receive a free upgrade to business class." She was shocked. I've never flown business class in my life. This is so amazing. At that time, we were rarely questioned if we upgraded someone without a certificate. Over the next 20 minutes, I found excuses to upgrade 4 other passengers. One who worked for one of our top corporate accounts. One who was legitimately a frequent flyer. Can't remember the other reasons. But by the time I went to board the flight, I had to tell SB that I was sorry, but business class was full, and couldn't offer him an upgrade today. The teacher I upgraded profusely thanked me again when she boarded with the rest of the business class passengers. Little did she know that it really made my day also. Story 3. Doing a good job does not mean you should get a raise. At my last company, I was working as a marketing executive. The team included myself and a senior marketing executive. As time went on, I began to take on more responsibilities to the point that I was doing more than the senior in the team, which they admitted. I spoke to my manager about what I need to do to get to a senior position. She gave me goals and a timeline. I hit those targets ... and she would move the goalposts. She did this 2 more times. All the while I was using my skills to reduce costs and improve the projects I was working on. Specifically, I had started to design everything myself instead of using the expensive design agency, saving the company £45,000 per year. I finally set another meeting with my manager to discuss a promotion. I showed her how I'd increased the profit margins of all my projects and all the extra work I'd been doing. Her response was, "Just because you make nice things and do extra work doesn't entitle you to a promotion." I sat there shocked while she said, "But don't worry, you'll get there," then ended the meeting. She had led me on about a promotion for 2 years. Here is where I started my malicious compliance. I stopped doing anything outside my job description, which included all the design work. Everything went to an agency. The whole team relied on my design work. But when I told them why I was stopping, they were also quite happy to start using the expensive agency. It wasn't until our next quarterly meeting that my manager noticed our profits per project had harshly dropped. When she questioned why we were spending so much, I said, as design is out of my remit, we had to use an agency. She was livid, as she had to present the stats to the CEO that week, who ended up yelling at her in front of the directors. She tried to give me an official warning for sabotaging the team, but a talk with HR cleared that away when they realized it wasn't part of my role. She then told me that I had to sign a new contract with an updated job description. I declined that too. Eventually, she asked me what it would take to get me to continue running my projects like I used to, and I mentioned the job title and salary increase. She begrudgingly accepted. I was worried about her being hostile, but then COVID hit, and the lady was made redundant. I stayed for a further 2 years before finally moving to a much better place at the start of this year. And as of today, her LinkedIn continues to show that she's unemployed. Story 4. Destroy your equipment. Let me gather an audience. Background: I used to test circuit breakers for a living. Large industrial versions of what you have in your home electric panel. Like the ones at home, most industrial circuit breakers have two means of detecting an overcurrent condition. Thermal, literally an element that heats up for seconds or minutes before opening the beaker, intended for small to moderate overcurrent events, and magnetic reacts almost instantly to very high overcurrent events. For special applications like firefighting pumps, you can buy circuit breakers which have magnetic only. Test methods are specified by the manufacturer and by the International Electrical Testing Association, NETA. Outtale: I was testing a large number of circuit breakers at a customer facility. Customer rep C got used to my pattern of testing a group of thermal elements, allowing them to cool down, and only then testing the magnetic elements. When the fire pump circuit breaker came to my test station, and I only tested it for magnetic trip, he objected. See, hey, why did you skip the thermal? B, this is a magnetic-only breaker. See, there's no such thing. B, here's the manufacturer data showing the magnetic trip curve, but not showing a thermal trip curve. See, that doesn't mean it doesn't have a thermal trip. I want it tested. K, well, since I don't have a curve from the manufacturer, I don't know how long it should take to trip. How long do you want me to test? See, the NETA testing manual says that without a curve, if it trips in less than 300 seconds, it is good. Please sign here that you're making me do this test. COK signs the paper, not realizing this was supposed to make him suspicious. Having failed my first attempt to scare him off this foolish path, I try another tactic. Me, on radio: hey, coworker, I'm about to test the thermal element on a fire pump breaker. You want to watch? Coworker: it doesn't have one. Idiot, you're gonna destroy the customer's breaker. Yeah, I told him that. He doesn't believe me. Coworker: I'm on my way. Coworker arrives and goes to explain to the customer, but see, you're both wrong. I'm an engineer and you're just technicians. Do the test. Coworker: we're gonna need you to sign. See, I already signed. Just do the test. So I start the test. All morning, the previous thermal tests have been running 8 to 10 seconds before tripping. For this test, 10 seconds pass, then 20. Then at 30, the breaker starts to smoke a little, and by 40 seconds, the smoke is pouring out of it, and my hand is hovering over the stop button. And I'm not stopping until he admits he's wrong, because he told me it wouldn't be a failed test until 300 seconds. He gives in just before the 60-second mark. And I ask, can you bring me the spare breaker from inventory, please? This one cannot go back into service. And his face takes on a panicked expression. I didn't have a spare. Good thing the local electrical distributor was open on a Saturday. Story 5. You don't move cars in the wrong spaces. Well, I'll park here then. This happened to me back in early 2015. We just recently made the move to purchase a new EV. At the time, the batteries in the EVs were small compared to today, and only had around a 6 to 80-mile range. One of our first larger journeys was to a shopping center about 60 miles away. We chose to go to this shopping center as it also was one of the first places to have EV charging compared to other shops. And at the time, the charging was still free. So we hoped to go there, get a free charge while shopping, and then head home with a full battery. Before we set off, we checked the charger was working through its app, and once we were happy, we made the journey. When we arrived, we found where the chargers were placed and ran into our issue. They were working fine, but they were fully blocked by non-EV cars. The bays were marked, but for whatever reason, people had parked in them. No worries, I thought, and I went into the center to the information desk to ask if they would announce for whoever to pop to their car to move it. They said they didn't do that and wouldn't. I explained I needed to charge to get home, and could they please make an exception. They would not, and so I angrily dropped a hint about them clamping the car or leaving a ticket on it. They said they don't do that either. In fact, the car park was not monitored, at all, as it was free to park for the day, so no cameras were needed to monitor the car park, and there were no car part attendants, so you don't do anything about incorrectly parked cars. I asked. The answer I got was a firm no from the information desk person, and they really didn't want to be bothered again. As I got back to the car, I saw there was a pavement to the edge of the chargers. The chargers were situated close to the building, but the pavement was in a place that wouldn't be used much when walking around the car park. It also didn't lead anywhere, and more importantly, didn't lead to any disabled or parent parking spots. It was also very wide, which gave me an idea. I then drove to the end of the car park, mounted the wide pavement, made sure there was no one around, and slowly drive to the chargers. My cable then reached. I started the charge, locked the car, and went shopping. I got back to the car at the end of the day with some form of employee, possibly security, but wasn't sure, in front the center, looking perplexed at our car parked on the pavement. I just unlocked the car, pulled the cable away, and drove off with a full charge. Safe to say the next time I went a year later, there were signs on the EV bays stating parking restrictions. There was a fine for non-EVs, and they were marked with more paint to make them extra obvious. Oh, and a couple of bollards at the end of the pavement where I mounted the curb. Story 6. Just ship the equipment to me. A couple of years ago, I took a fantastic job as an IT manager in a remote role for a healthcare company. It was the best job I'd ever had. Best salary, total freedom, had a wonderful boss who trusted me to do my job. I was brought on to create an internal IT team. We had been all outsourced for a company that had 19 offices in 3 U.S. states, and I was given free rein to create the team as I saw fit. I hired a great sysadmin for both our California and Missouri markets, and I served that role for Alabama. The employees loved us. Most tickets were resolved in an hour or two instead of the outsourced company taking a day or two, and maybe not fixing the issue still. We were saving the company close to $500,000 per year in outsourced cost versus our salaries. The figure does include savings on licensing that the outsourced company never cared to audit. It was glorious, but my boss decided to become a stay-at-home dad. I was looking to advance to his position, but our new CEO instead created a new VP of IT position for a guy she had worked with for 7 previous years. Sadly, the new guy was the micromanager of micromanagers. He and my company credit card closed. I went from a discretionary limit of $10K to having to ask his approval on $10 network cables. He put himself on every account, removed most of my authority. In effect, I was demoted to senior sysadmin. One day, I visited one of our sites and picked up a bunch of stuff. 5 desktop PCs. We had moved to laptops only. A carton full of keyboards, mice, cables, weird odds and ends. The idea was that I would take it to one of our other facilities and store it there, save the desktop PCs that I would ship to our outsourced partner. Well, I went on vacation, only to come home to discover that the previous Friday had been my last day. I was getting 2 weeks severance, and they were eliminating the department entirely. I asked the VP about the equipment. He told me to ship it all to him and he'd dispense of it. Now, I assumed he'd want me to ship it to the outsourced company, or at least do so with the PCs, but no. The thing is, the VP lives in Colorado. We have no branches there. The outsourced partner is in Missouri, meaning that no matter what, he'd at least be reshipping those PCs to Missouri. Oh well, I went to FedEx and carted all the crap in. They offered me various methods, but I told them that it was all going on the company's account to ship it ground per VP, but to do so in whatever method made them the most money. Friends, they spent well over 3 hours carefully wrapping and padding all of that crap. Charged the company several $100s. By my best estimate from previous shipping I had done with them, it was about triple what it should have been. And of course, VP also had to pay to ship those desktops again. But hey, he told me to do it. Company held my severance until they got the equipment, so I guess I satisfied their requirements. Also, screw that guy. He's a thief and I know it, and I even turned him in, but the company did nothing.